Good morning. Myself, K. Tyagarajan, Associate Professor, Department of CSC. In continuation to the previous video, so I'm going to discuss about examples for redirection. So already I said here grep. So grep command for searching a pattern within a file. So here something is a pattern which I need to search from a file name called some file. So after searching this something pattern from some file in my present working directory, so some file is present in my working directory. After searching this pattern, so the result of this command is redirected to the file name called grepout. So this is a grepout file. So this is an output file. I'm trying to write the result of this command into the file name called grepout. Right? For this I am using standard output redirection. We call it as greater than symbol. So here you try to understand this diagram. So the terminal /dev/tty. So in the Linux operating system, everything will be treated as a file. So this is a terminal file. Here file descriptor is a variable. File descriptor is taking an input from a keyboard. So this file descriptor will have an integer value 0, 1 and 2. So if this file descriptor having a value 0, it indicates that it is a standard input stdin. So meaning for this is the command grep is taking an input from a file or a keyboard. So it is taking an input from a file or keyboard. So coming to the file descriptor 1. So after taking an input, a grep command is trying to write the result of this particular command to a file. We call it as grepout. So this is a file, output file. So the result of this command, writing on to the output file grepout. So if the file descriptor value, so 1 indicates that standard output. So the result is writing on to a file. So if the file descriptor value is 2, we call it as standard error. So if the command is not encounter some error, command take for example, command is not executed, it is going to report an error message. So the error message will be reported on your terminal. So here the file descriptor value will be 2. Right, this thing you need to keep in mind. This is an additional stuff for redirection. The same manner, it's for example for command. If we consider a program, so program takes an input from a keyboard. So if it is taking an input from a keyboard, we call it a standard in. When a program is writing some result on your display, so we call it as standard out. If your program is giving some error message, it is also writing on to the terminal, we call it as a display. So here the error message we call it as standard error. Right. So this is an example for redirection, right? Coming to the next slide. So this is also the example for redirection already I covered in the previous, right? Coming to the another feature of Korn shell, we call it as a pipe. So the pipe operator temporarily saves the output from one command in a buffer, and that is being used at the same time as the input for next command. You try to understand this particular feature of a shell pipe. So the pipe operator, so here I have a pipe operator, temporarily saves the output of previous command. So here the previous command is who. So who command will give, who are the users currently logged in. So here it saves the result of this particular command in a buffer. At the same time, the result of this command which is stored in a buffer will be given as an input for the next command. So the next command is LPR. So LPR is a command for initiating the printer for print the result of WHO, right? So LPR is command for printing in order to initiate the printer, right? So we use LPR command. So the result of previous command already stored in a buffer with the help of a pipe operator temporarily. So this result is given as an input for LPR. So the LPR is giving to the printer for printing this particular result. So this is what the pipe operator will do, right? This is one of the important feature in Linux, right? A number of times we use this pipe operator in all the commands, most of the commands which we practiced earlier. So it may be a cut command, a paste command, grep command, so chmod. So everywhere we use this pipe operator, so we need to remember. So the pipe operator is oftenly used, right? Here you need to remember. So temporarily it saves the output of the previous command within a buffer. At the same time it gives an input for the next command, whatever may be the next command it is, right? So this is an example for a pipe. So it is one of the important feature in Korn shell. Coming to the another feature in a Korn shell, we call it as a T command. The T command copies the standard input to the standard output, at the same time copies it to one or more files. If the stream is coming from another command, the T command copies the standard input and standard output, at the same time copies it to one or more files if the stream is coming from another command. So the syntax for T command is T followed with options space file. We go with the example for this. Try to understand here diagrammatically I represented. So I have a T command. There is a previous command. So it is trying to give an input and output at the same time, right? So in order to illustrate this T command, so take for example I have this particular example. So here WC, so already we know word count. In order to count a number of lines, number of characters, number of words in a file, right? So WC minus CL space file1 dot text. So this is the first command. So WC minus L means in order to count a number of lines in a file1 dot text. So this is a command we are trying to perform here. The first command performs in a file 1. So how many lines are there? So this result is temporarily stored with the help of a pipe operator. So try to remember. So whenever we use a T command, so before this T command, so in order to mix the two commands, we need to use a pipe operator. So after completion of the first command, so immediately before proceeding to the next command, so one of the important operator we use is a pipe. So here the pipe will temporarily stores output of this previous command. The same time it is going to give an input for a T command. So here the T command will write the standard input and output at the same time. So here the T command is going to write the result of previous command within a file. It is going to redirect the result of previous command within a file. At the same time, it is going to display the result in your screen. So we call it as standard out. So here T minus a file 2. So we are writing the result in another file, we call it as file 2. So the result of this first command we are writing in file 2.txt. So here minus e operator for what reason means it is going to append to file 2. It is not going to overwrite. So if minus a is not there means, so immediately it will overwrite. So because of having minus a, so it will append to the existing. So this is about T command. So the T and pipe, one of the important shell, Korn shell future. Right, coming to the next feature of Korn shell is combining commands. We can combine commands in 4 ways: sequenced commands, grouped commands, chained commands, and conditional commands. So here meaning is, try to understand, we can execute commands in different ways. Commands can be executed sequentially. Commands can be executed by grouping one or more commands. So commands are executed in the form of a chain. So the second command will depend on first command, like this. So and then a command can be executed based on conditional operators which are used in my command statement, right? So these are the different ways of executing a command, right? So coming to the first one, sequenced commands. A sequence of commands can be entered in a command line. Each command must be separated from its predecessor by semicolon. So try to understand as sequenced commands. A sequence of commands are entered in a command line. So within my command line, so I can have one or more number of commands in a single command line. So if there is one or more number of command lines, each command need to be separated with a semicolon. You try to understand. Each command need to be separated with semicolon. So in a single command line, I am trying to execute one or more commands, one after the other. After execution of first command, so I need to execute the second command. So here the first and second command need to be separated with a semicolon. So this way of execution we call it as sequenced commands. Alright. So here take for example. So I have an example for this. chmod 764 file semicolon ls minus l file. Here we can we know that a chmod change mode changing a file permission. So here I have a file, so